Morning. I want to do a little video today to show you how I make my sauerkraut. Cabbage is ready to go and it's all quiet here today, so I think I'm going to try to get some of it in the bucket to start fermenting, and maybe we can get that job knocked out of the way this summer. Here's where I'm at so far. I've already put one head through the food processor. Here's what I got. I cut it on a medium shred, so it's coleslaw consistency. The boiling pot in the background, don't pay attention to it. It doesn't have anything to do with sauerkraut. It's our lunch that I'm trying to get done in the middle of this too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop up, as soon as I find my parts that I took off, I'm going to chop up this cabbage. I'm thinking probably 3 heads. I have a 5-gallon food safe bucket. You can buy these at Lowe's in the paint department. They'll have a sticker on them that says food grade quality bucket. You can get like 2-gallon, 2.5, somewhere in there. You can get 5-gallon. If you just want to try a little bit of cabbage, one good size head will probably be enough to fill a 2-gallon bucket. I mean, these are pretty good size heads that we grew in the garden. So I'm going to guess and say 3 is going to be more than enough. Steve brought me 4 in, but I'm going to say that 3 of them will be enough. Here's the cabbage. So they're pretty good size heads. So I'm going to give this a go and make sure I got my blade right. Yeah, it's on the right side. And I'm going to chop up all this cabbage and then we'll come back and show you the process. I want to do a little clip on this quick lunch I fixed us in the middle of making kraut. This is a quick stroganoff. This was so easy, guys. I made this in like 10 minutes. All I done was I took a box of beef broth and a little bit of water, brought it to a boil, threw a half a bag of egg noodles in it, cooked them till they were done, drained them off. I had a half a pound of deli roast beef. I do get the well done roast beef because I don't like it when it's bloody. I cut it in strips. I threw it in with the noodles after I drained them. I left them on the heat, turned it down a little bit. Then I poured a jar of brown gravy on top of that, and I'm gonna say probably about a half a cup of sour cream, and I stirred all that up, sprinkled a little bit of dried thyme on top, and here's what we've got for lunch today, a quick stroganoff. Give it a try, let me know what you think. I think that's all I'm going to cut up for now. My bowl is full, I can tell by the sound of it. So we gotta, oh yeah, it's really full. Gotta be careful. You'll crack something in there. I shouldn't have gotten it this full. I've done that before. A long time ago at my job. cracked one. I was shredding cheese and I got it too full. And I think it cracked the stem, maybe. I think. Don't take a lot of time to do this kind of stuff. It's just the process of it. There's a little piece of dark. If your cabbage stays out too long, it'll start getting dark pieces. It'll start getting like brown, wilty looking pieces in between the leaves. This was all in pretty good shape. I'll bring my stem in there. Okay. Now, I have put mine straight into the pint jars before and just measured my ingredients in by the jar. I'm going to do it in a bucket this time. I done it in the bucket last year, and I think because one reason is you've got to keep all this under the water. If it gets up above the water, it will turn brown, it'll mold. You've got to try to keep this cabbage down below the water line. And in a bucket, you can put a plate and something heavy, a couple of jars of water, bag of rocks, you know, a zipper bag. Make sure it's sealed up. Whatever you need to keep that plate down, enough weight to keep that plate down so it can keep the kraut pushed down, or the cabbage pushed down under the water. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it, when I put it in the bucket, I'm going to scoop it out by the cup, and I'm going to try to measure. I probably knew at one time how many pints or how many whatever quarts this pan here was. That would have kind of given me an estimate, but I'm not sure. And I was too lazy to try to measure it up to see. And there may be a technique to measure how tall, how wide, all that, and get the general idea. I didn't want to do all that. So I'm just going to dip it up with a measuring cup and just give it a guess best I can. I can taste it also and make sure it has enough salt, or, you know, I'll taste it as I go along, make sure I'm not getting it too salty or whatever. But that's how I'm going to do it. Steve is gone. I forgot to get any water. I don't like putting tap water on my sauerkraut because of the chlorine in it. So he is going to try to give me distilled water at the store. I hope he can find it. If not, I don't know. I may have to use Berkey water. And I don't think there's enough in the Berkey to do the whole thing. But we will start dipping into the bucket. Okay, I have 28 cups of cabbage here, and I have put in 12 tablespoons of vinegar, 12 tablespoons of sugar, and now I'm going to do 12 tablespoons of salt. And I'm using kosher salt. You can use kosher salt or canning salt. You cannot use just plain table salt because it has iodine in it, and the fermenting will not work with the iodine in it. And then I'm just going to work this. I'm going to take my ring off. I'm going to work this with my hands to work it in. And as you work this cabbage, it'll start putting off some juice. And it'll actually start the process of the fermenting, getting the cabbage broke down. And then after I get this done, I'm going to add more cabbage to the bucket, and I'm going to do the same. That way it's easier to handle than trying to do the whole bucket at one time. Steve's back with my water.
This one, right?
You only got one distilled? That's spring water. Did you just get 2? I said 4. You can't count. Huh? You're fired. Okay. I've worked that a little bit with my hands. These are some of the best tools in the world. These are the God-given tools. And they're a really good cooking tool and a good gardening tool. You can see the juice that it's already made. A lot of people use like a wooden masher kind of thing. I don't have one of those. So I just use my hands to work it up. I'm going to go ahead and add more cabbage now. More the salt. I do salt, vinegar, and sugar in my kraut. That's what my mom done. And that's, a lot of people just use salt, and you can just use salt. That's just the way I've always done it, so that's how I'm going to continue doing it. So I'm going to add more cabbage and work it up again. Okay, I've let it set for a few minutes. It started making a good bit of its own juice. It's not strong. I really feel like it could use a tiny bit more salt. So I am going to add a little bit more salt to it. I think I'm just going to sprinkle some on top. Work it down in a little bit. I think I'm just going to go with this half a bucket full. I've already got my food processor stuff washed up, and I'm not going to dirty it back up again. I do have one medium-sized head here that I could go ahead and chop up, but I'll just leave that in the refrigerator to cook this week. We've got some late cabbage out that I might make some more a little bit later. That way it's at a manageable amount. I can taste the salt a little bit more now. I can taste the vinegar pretty good. You really can't taste the sugar. I don't want a ton of sugar in it because I just don't want all the sugar in it. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put distilled water on it. There's different techniques to make kraut. You can YouTube it. You can look it up online. I just want to make sure that I get enough water in it that I can be able to push the cabbage down, hold the cabbage down under the water. Okay, I think that's enough water. You want to clean the sides of your bucket as well as you can, because anything that's out of that water is going to turn brown. So you want everything down under the water. You can even take your towel and give it a little wipe inside, all the extra pieces. Keep them off. Just keeps it looking a little bit cleaner. And you don't have to worry about that falling in when you do check on it. Okay. You can put wax paper in here. I saved some of the better cabbage leaves. I didn't save the ones off the outside that didn't look very good. The cleanest, best looking ones from the inside. Lay your cabbage leaves on here to just kind of seal up the top of it. They don't have to be perfect. They're just going to cover it over. Just kind of seal it closed, kind of. Just in case something would crawl up there. Of course, you know, years ago they put this down in their cellar. So, down in the root cellar. I'd really like to have a cellar. I think it'd be awesome to store things in, and a little hole to crawl in when it storms too. It's not a bad thing to have. Just going to break these up and put them put them in here to try to seal, cover it all up best I can. Okay, it don't have to be perfect, but that's on there. And I'm going to find a plate. You just want to lay your plate down on top of it, and then you're going to push till I know that that water is coming up over the top of that kraut. So it's sealed up. Then you need to set something that's clean down on top of this that's going to hold that plate down. And I'm trying to decide what that's going to be. It's got to be something that's small enough. I think I used a bag of marbles last year. I double bagged. I don't think I have the marbles anymore. Let me see what I can come up with. Okay. I have a couple of jars of water here. And I'm going to set them on there. And I got a bag of rocks here. I double bagged in zipper bags. I think that's enough weight to keep it on. Then I'm going to take this flour sack towel. Please don't judge me on my towel. I know this is really nasty looking. This towel, this is what I strain things with, like when we make maple syrup. That's why it's all stained. It's been bleached. I promise it's clean. It's just really used. And as you know, maple syrup is brown. After you cook it down, the sap down, it turns brown. So it does stain. I'm going to tie pretty tight. I'm just going to put it in like a bow knot because I'll have to check on it and make sure that it's staying under the water. And just check on it and make sure everything's going good. That, folks, is how you make kraut. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in the pantry. I'm going to set it close to the air vent so it's really cool in there. And I'm going to say 4 to 6 weeks. We'll let it ferment. It's going to start to smell. It's going to start to smell like sauerkraut. But it's not that bad. It's not that unbearable. We're going to let it ferment. And when I feel like it's fermented enough, then I'm going to take it out and I'm going to pack it into pint jars. I always do mine in pints because it's just me and Steve, and a quart's too much. I don't want to waste it. Pack it in pint jars, and I'm going to process it. I'm going to cold water bath it for 10 minutes. And then that'll seal the jar, and that'll help preserve it. It's already preserved. After it's fermented, it's preserved. It will keep. If you had a good, cool place to keep this, you could keep it in this bucket and you could eat it straight out of the bucket. It would be fine. But since I have to keep it here in the house, I have kept it for several years without processing it, and it will turn brown on top. It's fine, but you have to rake that brown off, or I always did, just because, not because it was bad, but because it just didn't look very nice. But I have started processing it for a few minutes in order just to keep it longer. That way, when I open the jar, I can use everything that's in it. It all looks good. It's all the same color. And that's just the way I prefer to do it. So, and you know, you don't have to have a great big garden to do things like this. They have the farmer's market here twice a week. There's one in Mason County that's probably twice a week. Go buy you a couple heads of cabbage at the grocery store. You know, if you want to try it, just try a small amount. Just try a quart jar. You don't have to do a 5-gallon bucket. You don't have to do a huge amount of any of this kind of stuff. Anything you want to try, start out small. That way you don't have a lot invested in it. You don't have a lot of time and a lot of money. And if it don't turn out just just the way you think it should, then you don't have a lot wasted. But I do know that sauerkraut is really, really good for your system, for your gut. Fermented things are really good for your body. They kind of help balance the bacteria in your gut, and they're a really healthy thing to eat. So a lot of people just that do their own home canned kraut, home fermented kraut, pickled, whatever, they'll just eat a couple of spoons of it raw on their plate with every meal. We don't do that. We just eat it as a part of the meal, and we certainly don't do it every day. I'd never get on making kraut. But we do eat it, you know, pretty frequently just because we like it, and it's really healthy for you. So give this a try. Let me know what you think. You know, let me know in the comments if you've ever made kraut, or if you want to try to make kraut. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have, anything that I know. If I don't know, I'll try to look it up for you and help you any way I can. But that's all I've got today. It's all done. Now I just have to clean up all my mess, and I might take a nap this afternoon since it's so hot outside, and I might curl up on the couch in front of Hallmark Christmas movies and be lazy. But that's all we have. So if you don't mind, like and share our videos, subscribe to our channel. That way you can get a notification to tell you every time we have a new video out. We try to put one out about once a week or so. It's a really busy time right now with the garden coming on and hay season and things like that. So we're putting out, you know, several videos right now in a month's time. But just go check us out and see what you think about it, and share this video on Facebook, wherever, on your social media. Let everybody know that we're here. We'd love to have more subscribers. Let me know what you think. Come back and see us. Have a great day, and God bless.